This morning's Coffee With is with Karin.
And the Saturday interview is furnished by William Morrow, an imprint of HarperCollins Publishers. Karin, welcome to WJZ. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Well, The Good Daughter. I was reading the synopsis of this, and to say it's dark is an understatement. Comment on that.
Well, I don't think it's unrelentingly dark. You know, I write about crime, and crime is a dark thing. It's a bad thing that happens, but really my interest has always been in how crime affects people and communities and families. And I grew up during a time in Atlanta during the Atlanta child murders, so I really saw firsthand how having someone in your midst who's a stranger to you, or you hope is a stranger, committing horrible acts can change the face of a community.
So tell us what The Good Daughter is about. This is a new novel out this summer, and this is not part of any of the series that you have written before. This is by itself.
That's right, and of course I'll go back to writing my Will Trent series, but I had a story idea that would only fit as a standalone, and it's honestly started wondering about a family who has violence visited upon them when the girls, these two girls, Charlie and Sam, are 13 and 15 respectively, and how that one horrible act affects them 28 years later as adults.
And how does it?
Well, you'll have to read the book to find out, but you know, it really explores how different people deal with violence and how it changes them. And for Sam, of course, you know, she deals with the physical scars of this tragedy every single day of her life, whereas Charlie has the emotional scars, but her response to that is to kind of put them on a back shelf and try not to think about them. But as these women approach their 40s, they find out what a lot of women do. You know, when you're in your 20s, you're just excited to be an adult, and in your 30s, you're kind of trying to learn how to live your life and to be part of a family and to establish yourself in your job. And when you get to your 40s, you just kind of look back and think, what the heck just happened? And so Charlie's at that point where she's looking at her life and how maybe she was wrong all along, that this thing that happened to her when she was a kid has resonated more into her adult life than she figured.
Hey, sorry for going back to this, but I do the news and I sit next to the worst of the world every day. Do you ever sit there and have an 8-hour session of writing and have to go ahead and knock back a couple glasses of wine to bring yourself back to reality?
Well, I'm not much of a drinker. I'd much rather have cupcakes, but I've certainly had some sugar highs where I've just kind of stress eating and thinking about what's going on in the books. But, you know, I think fear comes from not knowing. And with me, I know what's going to happen in my books, but certainly when I watch a news program or I talk to a lot of police officers and doctors about humanity at its worst, and sometimes it's just so shocking that I think I could never put that in a novel because people just wouldn't believe that someone could be that bad.
You do a lot of research for these books. You spend a lot of time with law enforcement.
I do, and you know, I talk to doctors. There's a lot of medical stuff that happens in the book, and I talk to defense lawyers, and that was something I'd never done. You know, I talk to cops all the time because they have such great cases, and they're really open about sharing procedure and that kind of thing, because I think for the most part, when cops enter that profession, they want to help people, and I feel really lucky they want to help this author write books that feel authentic. But, you know, most of my life, I've written from the point of view of detectives and prosecutors and people on the other side of the law. So writing from the point of view of a defense lawyer was really difficult for me because it's a job that I didn't quite understand. So I had to talk to a lot of people on that side, and I learned that the old adage is true. Everybody hates lawyers until they need one. And certainly I've got a lot of lawyers I can call on if something bad happens, but I hope it never does.
Awesome. Okay, new book.
The Good Daughter.
The Good Daughter. Available wherever you find books you like to hold in your hand, which I still do, or download them legally. All right, cool. Karin, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.